your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about what it means to be family. I'm Frankie.
And I'm at AK Stormageddon. And when you're here, you're family.
How dare you? Do you know Olive Garden is doing deliveries now?
I didn't, but I can't eat any of their stuff anyway. They don't have a gluten-free menu.
I know.
So.
I know. But
how do you deliver unlimited breadsticks, though? Do they just keep
coming
back?
This is what I want to know. This is what I want to know.
Like, do they just keep coming back over and over again every time you want more?
Look, I know Olive Garden is like trash Italian food, but them breadsticks, though.
I know. I miss them. I often miss them.
Anyway, no. Thank you for joining our Olive Garden secret chat.
Yeah, exactly.
The podcast that happens once every 300 episodes.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. You ruined everything.
I know. Now's the part where you read the summary.
I know. With Leandra and the twins gone, Hawk is the only family Gamlen has left. We learn that there's more to this grumpy old man than we realize as we pursue a treasure that almost destroyed Gamlen's life.
Yeah, so I probably never did this mission. Since the trigger for it is something you have to go out of your way to click on, and it doesn't show up and glitter or like have an exclamation point over it. And so I'm pretty confident I never did this on my first playthrough.
Oh, you get to do something new today.
I do.
Yay.
I mean, when you can't remember anything, everything is new.
That's true.
Yeah.
When you have a bad memory, everything's an exciting new process.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I've never done this before. I assure you that you have.
Yeah.
So we head over to Gamlen's house to just check in on our uncle. I mean, he's very lonely now. He's not having his weekly lunch with Leandra. And, you know, he's never really given us much of a reason to worry about him. But I have to say, this initial conversation, it's very nice.
So, yes, there is a contrast here that I'll share in a minute. But yes, the initial conversation that you have for this mission is very kind. He's clearly very sad about the loss of Leandra and is missing you and the twins and, like, is very heartfeltly confessing that, like, regardless of how things have gone in the past and maybe how he's acted, we're the only family we have left, and that he even says, I believe, that he's proud of us, like, and that he just is happy to have us.
Yeah, and he highlights that, like, Leandra would be proud of Hawk as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she'd be glowing with praise, with all the praise heaped on Hawk, he says. And it's a really sweet moment that Gamlen immediately ruins.
Yes, and so he ruins it even more immediately than clicking on the note, because when I clicked on him again, because I thought that's how I pick up the quest, he goes, I heard you hooked up with that bar wench out at the Hanged Man. She turned me down too many times. I can't believe she said yes to you. And I'm like, really?
Hilarious.
Really? Yeah.
To me, he said, so I hear you moved that apostate boy into your house. You're more like your mother than I thought.
Yeah, it's just like,
all right.
Okay, all right. This was clearly a mistake, but at least we had a nice moment.
We had a very nice moment, and then you had to be like that.
You had to be you.
Yes. To pick up the quest, Gamlen's greatest treasure, you have to read a note on his table.
Yeah, you click on the note, but like I said, there's no like exclamation point over it like your writing desk has. Like, you just have to know to click on it or hover over it and see the little symbol for reading something, and then he immediately gives you shit for it and like totally turns on a dime from the way he was before.
Yeah, exactly. The note says, I found the gem of Kuroshik. If you want it, come to Darktown alone. And Gamlen's like, stay away, stay out of my business. I lost everything because of this gem. I lost Mara. And I don't know about you, but I was like, who's Mara?
Yeah. Oh, immediately.
Who's
I was
Mara?
like, yeah, who's Mara? And no, the minute you say, stay out of my business, it's like you said, stay in my business. That's what those words mean to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go investigate because
Yeah.
you're my uncle and you're the only family I have left. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that nice talk we had?
We literally just had.
And my notes are like, just let me help you.
Yeah, I know. Let me love you.
Let me be nice to you, please. And I just want to say before we like really dig into it, I think that this quest is really important for Gamlen's character
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's important for us to see what made Gamlen into this bitter man. I mean, he's the one that was left behind. He always felt less loved than Leandra. Leandra got to go off and have an entire adventurous life with a man that she loved, and he stayed behind.
Yeah.
And when his parents passed, that was kind of his opportunity to have adventure. And the adventure that he chose to have drove him to poverty because he lost everything trying to chase it.
And we don't know this when we arrive. Like the early conversations with him, you're convinced that he's like this because of Leandra leaving. He's like this because he's sour about how he was left behind. And while that is true broadly, the specifics we don't find out until just now.
Right. But you can piece it together with context clues because he does say, like, I lost everything chasing that gem.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, buddy. I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad for Gamlen, you know?
Yeah.
So we go to Darktown to investigate on behalf of Gamlen, whether he wants it or not. And we run into the worst fucking beard I've ever seen.
Oh my God, these mutton chops are terrible. And I don't mind mutton chops, but these are pretty bad.
Like, they just stick straight out from his face in one layer of hair.
Yeah.
I hate it. Why are you like this, Dragon Age?
If I looked like him, I'd be mad all the time too.
Yeah. So he was hired to give us a note, but he's like, instead I want the gem. Give it to me.
Yeah, and I like how in the notes it says Darktown, fight idiot. Because he is an idiot. He looks at all of us and goes, I'm going to take what I want. Like, that comes back around when we talk to someone later, when we go to the caves. And so, like, I love that you just put in the notes, fight idiot.
Basically. Something that really annoys me about this entire quest, though, is that it's this terrible scavenger hunt that I hate. Mm-hmm. Worst scavenger hunt ever. But every time you're taking a step forward, you're picking up a note, but you don't actually get to read the note.
No.
So we pick up something called the wallop hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Or the wallop mallet, not the hammer, wallop mallet. And I didn't know that it was a note. I thought I was picking up an actual item.
Yeah.
And Varric mentions, hey, doesn't your uncle have a wallop mallet on his wall? And I'm like, does he?
Yeah. First of all, first time I've ever heard of wallop, which is apparently a sport in Kirkwall.
It's not the first time, actually.
Really?
Very, very early in the game, somebody says to us that Gamlen cheated him in a game of wallop.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, it was very, very early.
You expect me to remember that? Yeah.
I didn't remember either. I only found out because I was doing some reading about the background of this quest.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Remember that earlier conversation we had about how everything is new if you can't remember anything? Exhibit
Exactly.
A.
So, but the thing that annoys me is that there's no actual note to read. I have no idea that I'm supposed to go look at this wallop hammer or wallop mallet. I keep saying hammer. But you go and you look at it, or you ask Gamlen about it. And he says, oh, I haven't played that since I was a boy. Like, I still have my mallet, though. I keep it on the wall. I used to be really good at it. It's the only thing I was ever good at. And you look at it, and the quest updates, but it doesn't tell you what to do.
It wasn't in the quest log?
It's
like
in the quest log. Like, you have to open the journal and go to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing, like, Gamlen doesn't say, like, yeah, it was made from the wood of this tree.
Yeah.
Like, there's absolutely no conversation about it. Nobody says to you, like, hey, maybe we should go check out the tree. Like, absolutely nothing. The note has no details, etc., etc. So you go to the tree, the Venadal tree, which is the symbol of Dalish life for the city elves, and it's really the only greenery in all of Lowtown.
Yeah.
And the reason we go to the tree is because the Wallop mallet, which is difficult to say repeatedly, the Wallop mallet is made from wood of this tree.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't understand how we got here. Why are we here at this tree?
I mean, they wanted to make a thing where you run around, and like I understand the frustration of the quest not saying specifically where to go, but every time it's there's always a notification that a quest updates when you get to the next stage of it, and I always just check the journal page to see where to go because I never
think
remember.
That it's just not organic to me.
No, it's
and
not.
It really takes you out of the narrative.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. At this point, that's been so touch and go overall that, like, I just went, all right, it's another one of those. Like, your frustration is totally valid. I just think for me, it didn't bother me as much because so many of the side quests are kind of like this on some level.
All you have to do is do, like, a pop-up to be like, here's what the note says.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want.
Yeah.
Because, or, like, have Hawk be like, have Hawk read the note aloud. Like, this didn't need to be complicated.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my companions being like, and now we have to go to a warehouse. Like, okay, you're not telling me where the warehouse is.
No.
Or like when to go to this warehouse. So I have to go to the map and guess.
Yeah.
But we are going to the docks at night to go to Smetty's Fish Guttery, by the way, which would be an excellent name for a bar.
Yes. Also, I assume you brought your usual crew on this adventure.
Yeah.
Same.
I brought my boys.
And so the minute I walked in, Fenris goes, why does it have to be fish? And like throws a little stink about how bad it smells. It was so pretty funny. Yeah.
It's such a grumpy boy.
Yeah. Oh, I got a great banter. So we haven't talked a ton about the banter in this game because I think it's fine, but it's not quite as... There are memorable moments, but I feel overall the banter isn't as memorable as maybe other games. But I got this great moment between Isabella and Fenris where Fenris said something and Isabella went, "Can you say that, but more smoldering?" And he's like, "You want me to smolder?" And she's like, "Yeah, but also be really cold." And he's like, "Let me get this straight. You want me to be smoldering, but also sound really cold. Do you realize how little sense that makes?" She's like, "Shush, don't ruin this for me. Just do it." It's very good.
I love her. She's very funny. And like, again, I'm annoyed because we have to look through all these crates, and the only way to know which crate we're supposed to be looking for is to go into our journal and read it there. And I'm just like, why this? So you have to search all the crates for 1023, I think, or 1029. I don't remember. You have to look for a crate. And then the second you find it, it's just like, something's weird. Trap!
Yeah. And then we get poisoned. And then we get attacked.
I'm like, we have searched this entire warehouse, and only now you're realizing that's a trap?
Well, I searched 2 other boxes and then found it. I got very lucky.
Oh, no, I knew where it was.
I didn't know where it was, but I went upstairs, and there was one box in the back and then one box on the balcony, and that's when Anders went, "It's a trap," and then we all got poisoned.
Yeah, I wanted to loot everything before I triggered it.
That's fair.
Like, they were supposed to capture Gamlen, but they see us, and they're like, "That's not Gamlen. Fuck him up."
Yeah, let's kill him, and then you kill everybody.
Yeah. And we pick up another note that we don't get to read that says, "Bring him to Sink Cave," or the Sink, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this plan is so convoluted.
Yeah. And also...
Why not just capture him with that first note?
Yeah. And also, when we get to... So the Sink is one of the pre-created dungeon areas, like where we fought the Dragonlings earlier in the game. When we get there, it's another cave system. And like, I hate all the dungeons in this game, but I think I hate the caves the most, especially because they have stone slab doors that don't always open.
And sometimes they do.
It drives me bonkers.
And like, how am I supposed to know which door like actually works?
Until I get next to it and see the icon or not when I click on it.
Also, what annoyed me about this is that it had 2 paths.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I missed something in the other path because I didn't really have an opportunity to like backtrack.
The other path is just a dead end. You end up having to backtrack anyway. So,
Okay.
And like, it's just more fights. So you didn't miss anything.
All right. Well, once we get to the end of this cave system, a woman appears and calls us her cousin. And my favorite thing about this is Anders goes, "You have a cousin?" And Hawk goes, "I have a cousin?"
Yeah. I just kind of look at Anders incredulously like going, I guess I have a cousin.
This is news to me. And like, her name is Sharad, and she explains to us that Gamlen's her dad.
Okay.
You know, and I think it's really interesting. But before we can really learn that much more about her, she's already like kind of annoyed because she's like, "Gamlen never told you about me." Like,
Yeah.
come on. We get interrupted by a very grumpy man named Veld, who is angry and is pissed off that we killed his brother, Meckel.
And you can respond, and I respond. He goes, "How? I'm going to get revenge for you killing Meckel." And my Hawk went, "What's a Meckel?"
I took the like ruthless response because he calls Femhawk a bitch.
He didn't do that to male Hawk.
So I was like, "Hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
Insult me again and I'll rip out your throat." And then Sharad is just like, "You let your brother go up against Hawk, the champion of Kirkwall?"
Yeah. Dumb.
Who went head to head with a Kunari, like, general, basically, and came out alive? Like, you're insane. Why would you let him do that?
Yeah. Like, she was immediately on our side, and then Veld's like, "It's no matter, I will kill him," and then attacks you.
Yeah. And Sharad holds her own in the fight. Like, she doesn't just go hide somewhere. She pulls out her bow and arrow and she fights, which I really appreciate because it gives her more agency.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it makes her someone that I think Hawk can relate to. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, you kick ass too.
Yeah.
And once we finish this fight, we do learn more from Sharad. Her mother is Mara. And Mara left before Sharad was born because of how this gem consumed Gamlen. And she only found out that Gamlen was her father a year prior when her mother passed away. And Sharad set this whole scavenger hunt up to see how far he'd go for something he really wanted. So that explains the whole back and forth and frustration of it all, because it is meant to be frustrating.
Yeah.
Because it's testing you.
Yeah. And she's frustrated at the end of the conversation because she's like, and he couldn't even be bothered to do this, right? All of this time, and not even the gem was worth it.
Which, I understand her perspective, but since we actually know Gamlen, and like we had this conversation with him, it's not that, you know, he couldn't be bothered. It was the gem represents a huge loss to him, and he doesn't want to lose anything else.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, if he knew that Mara was connected to it in some way, or thought that Mara was the one sending the note, maybe he would have gone after it, because it would have been a chance to reconnect with her.
But this is a sign of growth for Gamlen, who is also a horrible gambler as well, that like he's learning to say no to things. Like he's learning to take back control of his life, as hard as that's been.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as hard as it is to lose people, I think that part of grief is growth. And for Gamlen, I think his growth is represented in looking at the things he would have done when Leandra was alive and thinking about like what Leandra would have thought of that. So he has grown a lot. And it is because of that that when we're presented the option of saying he's not so bad versus Gamlen's an ass, I chose to say he's not so bad.
Same. I think if we didn't, now I understand that initial conversation. Like, that initial conversation we have is to show him that he's changed a little. The follow up to that conversation to show he's not changed that much, but that he's trying. And so I also said that Gamlen's not so bad here.
Yeah. Like, he is kind of an ass, but.
Absolutely. Yes. If I have to choose between the two, I suppose I would say that he's not so bad.
Yeah. Like, we had that really nice conversation, like you said. So we both decided to give Gamlen the benefit of the doubt on Sharad's behalf.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I don't want to make that decision for Sharad to, like, if she wants to get to know her father or meet him, she should have that opportunity regardless of what I say, because I think if it's important to her, then that matters. Even if it turns out to be a disappointment to her, which hopefully it won't, like, she needs to learn that on her own. I could, quote unquote, protect her from it, but what good would that
Right.
do?
Well, our next option is telling her, like, you should go meet your dad, or you should give me the gem, or I don't care.
Yeah.
So, speaking to your desire to not push her anyway, unfortunately, none of these really afford you that.
No. And so I do want her to have the option to meet her, and I'm afraid in a metagame way that if I choose the other two options, she won't. And so I say to go meet Gamlen.
And I do as well. And my personal reasons are, as listeners know, I have a very tumultuous family history, which involves connecting with a long-lost sibling, my brother Nick. And that's exactly what I did. I reached out to him as soon as I was able to find him. And I did make it very clear, hey, if you don't want anything to do with me, I completely understand that. And, like, this is my outreach. This is my hand of peace. You can say no thank you, or we can become friends. And Nick decided he wanted to become friends. And I think that when you are prevented from a possible path, if you have the opportunity to see what that path could have been like, I think my personal philosophy is that you should at least check it out.
Yeah, I think it's better to know than to not, even if it confirms things that you already knew. It's still better to do that than to just live in wonder. We'll always have regrets, and we'll always have things like we wish we could have, done or should have done. But I think the more questions you can answer in life, the better life you can have, right? Like if you, instead of being left wondering.
I agree. So I am all in favor of Sharad reaching out to Gamlen and, try it. See what happens. And she's very sweet. And she goes, you know what? Maybe it'll be a good thing, because having a cousin turned out to be a good thing. And I was like, hell yeah, let's be friends. Yeah. I love Sharad. I think she's great.
Yeah, it's a shame that I think we never see her again.
We do hear from her, but no, we don't see her after.
Yeah, she writes us a letter, but that's it. Yeah.
So, which, all right. But I think Sharad's really cool, and I wish we had gotten more with her. Back to Lowtown, and we witness the heartwarming introduction of Gamlen to his daughter. And, he explains he didn't know that she was pregnant, and he probably would have gone after her if he had.
Yeah.
But, I can understand not going after her as well, especially if Gamlen felt like he didn't deserve her, because he lost everything. He lost, his money, his estate, and the woman he loved. So it's very likely that all that loss put him in such a head state of why would I go after her? She clearly doesn't want anything to do with me. She deserves so much better than what I can offer her. But if there's this idea of a baby, then maybe Gamlen would have changed sooner.
It's possible, yeah. But it does seem like they both are open to the idea of getting to know each other better, and that they want to see where this goes. especially since Sherrod has lost her mother. So Gamlen's basically, as far as we know, the only family she has left.
Yeah, which brings it all the way back around to the beginning, doesn't it? So, which narratively, I like the closed circle of it.
Yeah. I also like here that Gamlen thanks you after she leaves and then goes, but seriously, stay the fuck out of my
Yes,
business.
I do love it. And I'm like, you're welcome. Love you.
Love you. You're welcome. Bye. It reminds me very much of moments either with family members or friends where like you're being obnoxious, but it's to their
Right.
benefit and they're mad at you, but also appreciative. Like that's basically what this feels like.
Couldn't be me, though.
No, not you.
No.
Never.
Never me. I actually have a running joke with my pal Mickey that I'm impossible to give advice to because if you give me advice, I will listen and then do whatever I want anyway.
Correct. This is a true fact
It
about
is.
you.
Look, I like to hear other opinions and thoughts and then I think about them. I don't just discard your advice willy-nilly. I think about it and then I make a decision fully informed on possible outcomes.
Right. That usually have nothing to do with the advice you were given.
I mean, so I usually discard it, yes.
Yes, correct. But that's fine. That's why when you have problems and have complained to me about problems over the years, I just try and fix them with whether you want me to or not, because that way you can't discard my advice if I just go do it.
But maybe I don't want to do it.
Maybe you don't. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so that is the end of that. And Gamlen's so unused to being a father. As Sherrod leaves, he goes, keep safe? Is that what dads say? Is that what a dad would say to you? It feels very dad-like. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
And bless Sherrod, she just smiles at it, and I'm like, you're too good for this family.
Yes, absolutely. We are a family of, we're a mess as a family.
We're a family of feral raccoons.
Basically, yes.
Getting our grubby little trash hands all over Kirkwall.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, so that I thought it was a very nice story. I would have liked a little bit better design in it.
Yeah. But
overall, I thought it was nice. It was a good break from Templar bullshit.
Yeah, and it was fun to get to learn more about a character that even I had a lot of disdain for early on because my memory was so much the caricature that he's presented as. And so to have this kind of closure and growth for a character is nice, especially since it's hard to, I think a lot of the characters in this game are very one note, just in the sense that like we don't get a lot of time with them. They don't always get a lot of growth besides the companions. And so it's nice to see some of the non-companion characters get a little bit of growth since there's not a ton of that. We were complaining last episode about how Orsino just kind of is involved suddenly, even though he's always been around, and that we don't know much about his character. We don't know a lot about his motives other than he doesn't like Meredith. And like, if we'd gotten time to sit with him pre the Act 3 more, especially as a mage, we might have like a better idea or relate to the character more. You know, and so I like when characters, especially side characters, get this kind of growth and explanation and elaboration on their story.
What other characters do you wish we could get more closure with?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. I mean, we've complained. The only companion I have that huge complaint with, and we've talked about it before, is Sebastian. As complicated as that character is, and as frustrating as that character is, especially the way he treats religion, I do wish there was more opportunity to get to know him better because I like the character. I like as a character, I like him in the same way that while I don't like Aveline as a person, I like that the character makes me feel something, right? Like I have a strong feeling about Meredith or Aveline or whoever. But Sebastian, I just kind of don't like because he feels kind of one note because he's a DLC character and that's fine. But I feel like the DLC characters, even in Dragon Age Origins, had more than this or were more interesting.
Yeah, like
Shale. Like Shale, yeah. That's exactly the one I was going to talk about. Shale is a character that could be one note, but as you explore her narrative, you find that she's actually incredibly interesting. And like, I just feel like we don't get that with Sebastian here. You know, I think there are probably other characters that I can't think of now, but I'll keep that in mind as we continue on because I'm sure they'll come back up.
All right. Do you want to dig into fan mail?
Yes, so we don't have any audio fan mail, but we do have 2 written pieces. So I will read the first one, and then maybe you'll read excerpts from the second one, because, of course, Callie, as always, sends a lot. We love Callie for it. So we have 2 submissions this week. Thank you always for comments after episodes in the Discord. We love it. We're happy to chat with y'all, and we appreciate when you share some personal stuff. We love to hear what you get out of these episodes, because we get a lot out of making them, but we hope you also get a lot out of them from listening to them. And so one of our Discord server members, Night Divine, wrote us a note about episode 6.35, Demands of the Cune. And they said, side note, listening to the Demands of the Cune episode had me thinking of my own upbringing in Catholic mixed with Christian Pentecostal beliefs. Had me floored more than the ice I nearly left my face on. How both can be vindictive as hell when you choose to step away from both faiths and embrace another. My wife is Vietnamese and is Buddhist. I feel more comfortable with Buddhism than others, especially Catholicism, having my maternal grandmother being a practitioner of Santeria, Caribbean voodoo, which uses the Catholic saints as their patrons. Good episode. I'm catching up, but I share both your views on Aveline and my growing distaste with her. Yeah, that becomes kind of universal. Being shunned almost in a way by both faiths just wild. I have been with my wife for 9 years this April, and it took my mother 7 of those years to acknowledge that she won't guilt trip me back into Christianity and away from homosexuality. Don't get me started on the political climate and her choices. I stopped speaking to her over less. We are not arguing about human dignity or decency and basic rights, lady. End of rant now, lol. Night Divine, thank you for submitting. Also, I use they, them pronouns because I wasn't positive of your gender. But thank you for sharing with this. I'm sorry I butchered it as I slowly read through it. But we're always happy to hear how these perspectives reach our listeners, especially as we are all, Frankie and I grew up in very different faiths, but also I know a lot of our listeners are from different places, grew up in very different ways. And so it's fascinating to hear all of the bits of religion and tradition that touched you as you've grown up and lived your life, and how they've mixed differently and what you jive with. And it's interesting to hear that you feel more comfortable with Buddhism, as I don't personally have a lot of access to Buddhism myself. I just don't know a lot of friends who observe that. So that was very interesting to share. So thank you. Please continue to share as things come up when you're listening and catching up. And no worries on taking your time. We record a lot of podcast episodes, and they are very lengthy. So take your time.
Next up, we have a submission from Callie. Callie, as you know, is our stalwart podcast reviewer who provides feedback after every episode, and we always love reading and listening to it. So Callie says, almost did not have much to say this time. Thanks for making me think of more to say than just being angry. Best served cold. Orsino is frustrating indeed. Understand wanting to try to avoid making things worse by resisting, quote, the wrong way, but things are still getting worse anyway. Is there any means of resistance he is, quote, not afraid will make the Templars retaliate harshly? Probably not, and he is probably correct. But in the absence of real provocation, they will fabricate reasons to do it anyway. The choice is not, quote, make things worse or keep the peace. The choice is, quote, simply let them do what they want to us or try to stop them. Not recognizing these things makes him look like a foolish and weak leader. Completely agree.
Yes, totally.
Side note, according to the codex entry we get during this quest on the Rite of Annulment, it has been performed 17 times in the last 700 years.
Ugh.
And Callie continues to say the Chantry started this war, which has so far mostly been one-sided. The annulments have been 17 out of too many war crimes to count. Mages have waited and hoped more than long enough. Epilogue. Matt, thank you for the story. Sounds like an excellent experience indeed, referring to your craft night.
Yeah.
Can definitely relate to the feeling of not feeling motivated to do something, but knowing it will feel good. Sounds like I need to finish something on the uni sewing machine so that I can switch to something by hand in time for this craft night. So it looks like craft night is being well received according to the poll that I put up. So we just have to decide on a day. So if you want to be part of the craft night, make sure you join our Discord server. we will pick a day and time that will hopefully work for our international audience. But if not,
Yeah.
we can always have multiple craft nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Callie. We always love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think the next step will be maybe putting up a poll with a selection of dates and times. Frankie and I typically record in mornings Eastern time in the U.S. because that's afternoon, late afternoon, early evening for Frankie. And so my guess is it would be around that time, or maybe evening for Frankie and afternoon for me. But we'll have to take a look at the calendar and figure that out. My guess is maybe sometime in February if we can make it work, because that gives us some time.
Yeah.
If not, then for sure by March, if not February. But Frankie and I'll continue to discuss and form a plan. But it sounds like folks are interested, so we'll make it happen.
Hell yeah. Now, next up is Fandom Corner. Yay.
That was the crowd cheering.
Yeah, I understood that.
Okay.
So for me today, I am really hype about local businesses because over
Okay.
the weekend, I visited some of my favorite small businesses in my town. I went to Misfit Hobbies, which is a board game cafe that opened up at the start of this year. Steel Harpy also opened up at the start of this year. It's specifically a Warhammer hobby store, which isn't my jam, but they also sell dice and various crafting tools for like building terrain for your Warhammer games. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always doing DIY around the house, I just like seeing different materials that I could repurpose for my own wicked desires.
Right. Yes.
Like for example, there was these like little patches of flower fields, and I just thought that they looked really cool. I was like, this would be fantastic to put all over something.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was awesome. And I also went to Dark Matter, which is a store geared towards alternative lifestyles like goth, emo, punk, witchy, queer, so on. Basically, if you exist outside of the norm, this store is for you. It's run by some good friends of mine, Heather and Dave, who are beautiful people inside and out. Um, and I would like to use my fandom corner to encourage everyone to shop local. And please tell me about the places you go and the things that you see there. If you found anything really amazing that you couldn't find anywhere else, I would love to hear about it, because I think shopping local is one of the ways that we can combat this world state that we are in.
Yeah, I completely agree. I try and shop local in New York. It's harder sometimes just because convenience weighs out. But I basically stopped buying video games online with the occasional purchase on Amazon, but we use that less and less. For the most part, there are two local video game stores that I go to. There's Video Games New York, which goes to conventions. If you've been to PAX, they often have booths there. And then there's J&L, which is another video game shop that I often go to. And so anyway, I often buy my physical video games there as well. Also, Video Games New York does a ton of modding and tries not to over price gouge you for, like, say, a Game Boy Advance, the original form factor with a backlight that they installed instead of the original hardware, things like that. And so definitely do local for that. I don't go to hobby shops as much just because I only recently started getting back into Magic the Gathering. So I imagine as I buy, but I'm only buying commander decks because they are pre-constructed. The 100 cards can fit in a solo box, and I can just play that commander. I don't need to buy boosters. I don't need to make my own decks. I'm done with all of that after I lost all my cards. But it's still been nice to, like, go to hobby shops and look at what they've got. The decks I have right now is a Cloud Strife deck from Final Fantasy VII, and then a 13th Doctor deck, a Jodie Whittaker deck from Doctor Who. And so it's been fun to jump back into that. So I totally encourage the idea of shopping local and small scale.
I would like to give an honorary mention to Triangle Card Game. I think it's called Triangle Card Store, maybe. I do not go inside because the acoustics of the store are awful and the sound just bounces around, and I just can't. So I don't go inside. But my partner was over this weekend, and he also plays Magic, and he was looking for very specific singles. And he went in and he spent like a good half hour in there looking at cards. So honorary mention to them. Not for me, but still doing something for someone.
Sure, totally. Awesome. My fandom corner this week is something a bit more straightforward, but I think another opportunity to talk about accessibility. So I've been absolutely obsessed since starting it about a week ago with Hollow Knight Silksong. For those who are not familiar, Hollow Knight Silksong is the sequel to Hollow Knight, a very renowned 2D Metroidvania with Souls-like combat. It's very difficult boss challenges and challenging gameplay. The original game, Hollow Knight, I had on Switch and I bounced off of because of that difficulty. It just, like Dark Souls, while I like that kind of challenge because you can die so easily, I feel like I don't have enough time to learn these boss fights, and that the runbacks are so difficult that I'm not learning as fast as I'd like. Whereas in like a Metroid game, even if I die on a boss 18 times, there's usually a save point right before that boss. So like the tries come more frequently. Whereas often in Hollow Knight and the Dark Souls games, you have to run back through half the stage to get back to the boss fight to attempt it again, which some people like. I'm not a fan of. So anyway, Hollow Knight Silksong, I was lucky enough to get a review key last year when I was judging for the Indie Game Awards, and I played it a little bit. Of course, mechanically, it drew me in. I like the world. I like the narrative. But it was too hard. And after listening to friend of the show, Dave Jackson's podcast with Jenny Wyndham on Hollow Knight Silksong, Jenny, towards the end of the episode before the spoiler wall, mentions that the PC version already had mods. And that's how I played Dark Souls 3, ended up loving it. I got a mod that halved my damage and made me do a tiny bit more damage. And I still died a lot. But I felt like I survived long enough that I could learn these boss fights. It wasn't as frustrating. I still would die occasionally, lose all my souls. I would still go through the hardships that those games bring, but at a scale that I felt manageable. So when I heard this, I went, all right, well, I have Silksong already on PC. Let me go look up these mods. Turns out someone who made a very famous mod for Hollow Knight, which I didn't know because I didn't play the original game on PC, made the same mod for Hollow Knight Silksong, which makes me think about purchasing Hollow Knight, the original game, on PC so I can play through that as well. But this mod ostensibly halves your damage and halves the damage you take and doubles the damage you do. And so what that means is that boss fights are a little shorter and you can get hit more before you die. So typically one hit would destroy one mask, which is how the health is set up. Whereas this, two regular hits from any regular enemy and two regular hits from a boss, not a special attack, will require, so a mask lasts 2 hits instead of only lasting 1 hit or less. And because of that, I've been able to get through. I'm already halfway through Act 2 in the game because I'm able to survive longer. And I know there's a lot of complaining online about, then you're not really playing the game, but I push back against that often. I think video games are an experience that if you want to have, you should be able to customize it to what you can handle so you can enjoy it. And while I understand the original design ethos of the developers wanting it to be more challenging, for the players who want to engage in that challenge, I get it. Folks like Dave Jackson, who I mentioned, who played the game without mods the way it is. But that's not for me. I bounced off the first game because of it. And I'm so glad that this mod exists, so I can take less damage and still enjoy this video game that I've now, because I found an accessible way to play it, have become obsessed with, and I'm really enjoying this game. A game that I would have completely written off if I couldn't download this mod. And mostly I wanted to use this fandom corner to say to those listening, if you encounter a game, especially on PC, that doesn't hit you right for any number of reasons, and there aren't accessibility options within the game, look on Nexus Mods, look online. Someone might have made something for you to make that game more accessible. Yes, we want those accessibility options at a base level within these games, but if they're not there, people on PC are doing a lot of dedicated, unrewarded, financially at least, work to make these things happen, and that are free for you to access. And I think you should look into it. Never let anyone make you feel bad about how you engage with a video game. Like, some people try to tell me, you didn't really beat Dark Souls 3 if you used mods. I said, that's incorrect. I saw the credits. You may not value it the same as I do, but I value it the same. So yes, I'm celebrating Hollow Knight Silksong. I think it's an excellent game. unsurprisingly, since everyone has lauded this game, I'm also saying that you should, if a game can't meet you where you live, then you should find tools that allow you to engage with it if you want to do so. Yes, it's more work. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. But if this idiot can install those mods, any idiot can. So I highly recommend checking out Hollow Knight Silksong if you'd been hesitant on PC. Of course, if you're playing on console, consoles don't really allow us to do things like this, but if you're playing on PC, I think it's really worth it. I'm really having a great time. And again, this is a game that I might have just completely ignored otherwise, but because I was able to get this one thing and make this one small change, I'm having the time of my life with it. I've become completely obsessed with it. So yeah, shout out to modders out there making these tools to allow people who maybe would struggle with a game feel more confident in accessing it. And then who knows, maybe I'll go back to Hollow Knight without a mod now that I understand better how these games work and had the time to learn these mechanics. So yeah.
I completely agree with everything that you just said. I have watched someone else play Hollow Knight. One of my partners, he's really good at those kinds of games. And he played some Hollow Knight in front of me. And I love the aesthetic of the game. It's a gorgeous game.
Mm-hmm,
like the art is incredible. I fell in love with Hornet on first sight.
She's incredible.
Like she's so
also
cool.
The voice acting in that game for not saying actual words is some of the best voice acting I think I've seen in video games. Like Hornet is so expressive even though she's not actually saying words.
Yeah. I think she's really cool. She fights with a sewing needle. Like, come on.
Does.
She's my kind of girl. So I haven't played Silksong because, again, I know that I'm not going to enjoy that game style. Maybe I will look into getting a mod because I have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my partners and I share Steam libraries. So I may have access. I may download a mod and see if I can play it and enjoy it. And, if I can, cool. But because I love the aesthetic so much, I did actually make a poncho inspired by Hornet. So I can do a closet cosplay of Hornet.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have a few friends who have cosplayed as Hornet. Yeah, if you've not seen Sherma in the game, you should look up a clip of the first time you meet Sherma. He's this little pilgrim who has this very catchy song that he plays while tapping a bell. He's all over online. I'll send you a clip. He's just adorable and the best thing to happen to that video game.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I also agree. Go download mods because there's no reason you shouldn't enjoy a thing.
Yeah, totally.
So, and if anybody gives you shit about it, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yep, basically. All right. So before we wrap up, let's talk about what we're doing next. And the next thing we are doing is Mind Massacre. Guess who's headed back to the Bone Pit?
I live in the Bone Pit.
Your life is the Bone Pit.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of bones in this pit.
All right.
Waka waka. So if you like what you heard here, against all odds, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram. Or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky as Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon.
You can also rate and review or subscribe to this podcast wherever you get podcasts. Again, as I always say, if you're not subscribed and this is your first episode, why? But also welcome. Ratings and reviews really help. It's the best free way you can help any podcast. If you are listening on a platform that allows you to rate and review and you have not done it yet, please do. Also, if you have access to Apple Podcasts, please write a review there. One of the most popular podcast apps, and it helps us even if you don't use it regularly, but have an iPhone and have access to the platform. A quick review there would really help, even if you just said you love us and gave us 5 stars, and that's it. And we'll take it.
We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website. Join the conversation.
As far as personal plugs go, a reminder that I will be at PAX East this year. It's at the end of March. I will be on a panel. That panel has not been publicly announced yet, so more details to come on that, but I'm very excited to be back on a panel again. It's been a minute. More specific details on PAX East as we get closer. And as far as the other stuff that I do, the best place you can go is djstormageddon.com. That has links to Fun and Games, the Fun and Games Patreon, my merch store, my Twitch page, all of that stuff. I am hoping to start streaming more again this year. I haven't been able to figure out how to make that work yet, but there's an intent there. So if you are not subscribed to my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon, please go subscribe there, and hopefully I will get to starting to stream there soon.
I wish I had the patience and energy to stream on the reg. I just do not. But I am on the internet. My website is frankiebwrites.com, where you can hire me out for podcasting, voiceovers, writing or editing, proofreading, or you can just drop me a message and maybe kick me $1 or $2 for being your favorite little internet jester. Also, if you want to make sure my cats are happy, you can donate to Friends of Rescue or share their posts on Facebook to help them gain some traction.
Do those things. We, of course, as always, want to thank the one and only Case Aiken for developing some awesome t-shirts that you can find at certainpov.com or on their Teespring. Also, thanks to Case for designing each episode's individual show art. We really appreciate it.
We'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for our theme music. If you've been jamming along, then you should head to miracleofsound.rocks and check out Gavin Dunn's other music and merch.
And, of course, thank you to Red Spinks for our Dragon Age-inspired logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
And lastly, thank you for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And remember, all Templars are bastards.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
Are you tired of watching your beloved characters being tortured by careless authors?
Are you sick of feeling like they could have swapped out all of the painful action and the plot would remain untouched? Subscribe to Books That Burn, the fortnightly book review podcast focusing on fictional depictions of trauma.
We assume that the characters' reactions are reasonable and focus on how badly or well they were served by their authors.
Join us for our minor character spotlights, main character discussions, and favorite non-traumatic things in the dark books we love.
Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.